So Burgs, yesterday we were talking about the energy in the body, and you mentioned your rods and how they can actually test how the energy is doing at the various energy centres in the body, and then we can see the effect that mobile phones and Wi-Fi, etc., have on the body.
Yes. Okay.
So you've got your 2 rods now.
Yes. Okay. So these are just normal dowsing rods, the same sort of rods that people might use to douse for water courses. They've got a sleeve on them, and they're copper, so that they move inside the sleeve. So I can't move them with my hands. They'll move only when they come into the energy field.
Okay.
So we're going to take some readings from your energy field. We're going to see how it is right now, and then we're going to see what the effect of some of this Wi-Fi technology is upon it. All right?
Okay.
Okay. So if you stand there,
Yes.
as I walk towards you, taking a reading from your throat chakra, we can see how the energy, this basically is the point at which the rods open. Did you see that? Okay. And they opened left and right, which is what we want to see.
So my energy field goes to about
At
here.
this moment, your energy field's out here, so we would imagine that it would be...
And then the rods start to
open as
reflect the reading of the
Yes,
field.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're hoping that they would open left and right, which means that the exchange of energy between your own discrete energy field and the wider energy field that you're within is balanced, i.e. the energy that you're, I suppose if you like, transmitting or sharing with the greater energy field, and the energy you're receiving or drawing from it are balanced. Okay? So let's just take a couple more readings just for interest's sake so we can compare them. Let's take a chest chakra, heart chakra. All right. Okay, so can you see how the left one's opened 90 degrees and the right one stayed where it was? So that's basically the reading that we've got. So that means that you're through the chest chakra, you're drawing energy in from the energy field around you, but you're not releasing energy into the energy field through that particular.
So it's getting stuck somewhere. Is that right?
It's not blocked. If it was blocked completely, it wouldn't open at all. Yeah?
It's just a bit compromised.
It's just yes, exactly. Let's just leave it like that. Okay, let's have a look. Let's just take the head. All right. Okay, so we've got the opposite reading, which is obviously the other way around. So now you are releasing energy there's an exchange of energy between your field and the ambient energy field around you through the head. So actually these two seem to be counterbalancing each other. Anyway, without going further on that, that's a snapshot, because that's not really the purpose, is it? The purpose is to see what's the effect. Gives us reference points. So that's as you are right now.
I'm going to find a mobile phone, which is over there.
Okay.
So I have the mobile phone.
Okay, so
which is switched on. In fact, it's a smartphone, a BlackBerry.
Switched on standby. Put it in your pocket and forget about it.
Okay.
As it would normally be.
Yes.
Yes, in your pocket. And let's see what the effect is. So again, your throat chakra, which was open nicely, as I walk towards you, and now there's no response at all at the rods.
Yes.
Nothing. They stayed closed.
Yes.
And at the chest, same thing.
Yes.
And at the head. All right. So just having the phone in your pocket, not connected, but on standby, has shut down your energy field. So now there's no exchange of energy between you and your environment. You with me?
Wow, that's quite a big thing, isn't it?
It's a big thing. I mean,
because I might see the environment, but you're saying is energetically.
You won't empathise with it, because your sense of what it contains, which is going on at a subtle level, is suddenly cut off.
Right.
Yes. So the exchange between us now.
I'm completely unaware of that as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And generally, people are unaware of the fact that they don't. If they're asked, think back 10 years. Whether you've been meditating for 10 years since or not, I'll bet you felt more moved by things like beautiful music and nature back then than you feel now. So many people have to admit to themselves that that's the case. Because their energy, the exchange, empathetic exchange between them and their wider environment is cut off.
Because I like to go walking, I like to go hiking, and you see more and more, I don't do it actually, but more and more people do have their mobile phones
on the phone,
and
having a walk.
It's a beautiful place, and brum, the phone goes and they're chatting away.
Exactly, and they've walked to the other side of the park and they haven't been aware of their environment at all. And they haven't been nourished by it. So you know that you get the exercise of breathing the fresh air, but the refreshment that comes from exchange of energy with a nourishing environment, a natural environment, it's so nourishing to us.
It is.
Now that's one thing.
We're going to go one step further. We're going to make a call, aren't we?
Let's make a call.
I don't know how to do it on this black.
What have we got?
We're going to dial 1, 2, 3.
I'm not good with these either.
Talk to our friend who tells the time.
All right. Screen is locked. Might have to ask our assistant for some help with this.
I'm impressed that we both can't work it out. That's good.
All right. Okay. All right. So that's ringing, is it?
Okay. I'm
You're
just
ringing the
my
answer
friend
phone?
Tim, who reads the time.
All right. Okay. Now, you're now on the phone, and I'm walking towards your head chakra, and they're crossing there.
Gosh.
Now, unfortunately, I don't want to poke you in the eye, but if I was to get closer, let's see if I can get closer. They've already crossed, remember? They've crossed there, and the closer I get...
Wow. Look at that.
You with me? Now, those are completely crossed.
The wrong way.
Now, the only time that I would get a reading like that of a human energy field would be someone who is very sick, because that's a very disruptive response. So I would typically get a response like that.
So if I was feeling a bit weak and I felt a cold coming on something, you're saying this would make the difference between maybe getting the cold and not getting the cold?
Possibly. It would certainly impair the body's own
defense
mechanisms. Yeah. More importantly, if you are already very ill, if you have cancer, which is already uncontrolled energy, and you introduce more uncontrolled, your body's capacity to heal itself and reorganize itself is completely impaired.
Yes.
So it's very damaging. Obviously, you're not on it all the time, hopefully, but it's extremely damaging if your body's intelligence is already impaired.
And whatever happens, it is weakening us a bit, isn't it?
It's weakening us.
Reasonably healthy, it's still.
It's weakening at an electrical level, at a nervous system, at an information level. It's already starting to break us down. Yeah. So we see many people who are starting to suffer with memory loss, poor sleep patterns, inability to concentrate, restlessness. And that's happening more and more and more. And I'm convinced it's because of constant exposure to these EMFs. Now, should we take a reading to see what the long-term effect is on your head?
Okay.
All right, let's get rid of the phone.
Put the phone. It's still beeping away. Still telling me the time.
All right, so what we'll do now is we'll read the side of your head that you don't hold the phone and the side of the head you do use the phone. How about that?
Idea.
All right.
So I'll turn my back to the camera for a minute while you.
So that's
because I'm right-handed, so the phone would normally be here.
All right. So the right side of Ian's head, and we see the rods opening nicely. All right. And turn the other way.
Left-hand side of my
Sorry, left side of your head. Yes.
Okay. Well, this is my phone side.
And we see that it's blocked. It's blocked, and now it's not because the phone's in his pocket. It's blocked because it would presumably be inherently blocked. Yes. And to be honest, I felt exactly the same thing after some years of use. I started to notice in the side of my head this dense feeling that wasn't shifting. Sometimes you can wake up feeling dense in the head, and 5-10 minutes of meditation you'll feel it clearing. It wasn't clearing. So I stopped using my phone, and it took me, I would say, 3 to 6 months before I could feel the normal rhythm, gentle rhythm through my body return.
When you say you stopped using your phone, what do you mean by that?
I never took a phone to the head. So I would only ever use it on speakerphone, and I'd use text messages as much as possible. And even if it was on the speaker, wherever I could, I would put it down and speak into it without touching it.
Right, but that's quite extreme, Burgs, to do that.
Well, you say that. Is it? I mean, this is
Well,
quite extreme.
for modern life, because people obviously you can get the mobile hands-free ones where you put a little lead.
Yes, there are some that screen you and some that don't. I think you have to be quite careful what sort of... The normal earphones, I think, are not so good. There are some... You've seen the ones with the... looks like an old style telephone that you plug into your modern hand phone. They actually seem to screen quite well.
Yes.
I agree. You might think it's extreme, but for me, I find it really important that clarity that comes from a coherent energy field and feeling coherent within myself helps me. And I feel it. I feel that's a really important part of my life.
And it depends on our priority, doesn't it?
It depends on priorities.
Priority is primarily our body, our spiritual path, and waking up to who we really are. Then, if we're closing down our energy fields, then that's going to impair that whole process.
I would certainly say that, if you're investigating things like your connection to other people and what it is that makes you tick, and your connection with nature and the wider energy fields around you, these sort of things, which are definitely part of many people's spiritual quest, be aware of the fact that your capacity to exchange at that level is being seriously impaired by constant exposure to Wi-Fi. Now, over time, we may find that there are health risks, there are physiological risks, and those risks are starting to emerge. But even before that, start to think about these subtleties, the qualities and the depth of your sense of intimacy and exchange, the feeling that you get when you listen to beautiful music or you look out at nature. Are you feeling that connection like you used to? Ask yourself, because I bet if we ask ourselves, we might find, something is lacking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're now going to go into an office and we're going to test the Wi-Fi.
Right, okay.
See how it works there. See what we find there. It's a very interesting experiment we're doing.
Okay, let's see what we get.
Okay.
So I've just switched the Wi-Fi on. So now this whole room will be able to pick up a Wi-Fi signal anywhere in this room. So let's just see what effect that ambient Wi-Fi has had on Iain's energy field. So let's start again. Let's take the reading from his chest chakra. And there's no movement at all on the rods. And
whereas before there was movement.
Before it was yes, exactly. It was open. Left was open and the right was closed. And the throat, which was completely open before, isn't moving either. Yeah. So what's that showing is that just by having the Wi-Fi on, which remember works ambiently in the background 24/7, that your energy field is...
Yes.
Let's just unplug the box and see the effect. That's off now. And I'm walking back into, and I can feel his energy field as I walk into it, and because I can feel it in my body, the contact with your energy field, and there it is again. And there's the throat.
Back where
it's back where it should be.
Yes.
So the point is that it does open up again. But what's the effect of being closed down consistently if we're in that kind of environment 24 hours a day?
So Burgs, this means then obviously that when we have these devices on the whole time, we get more and more closed down. But if we start to be intelligent and more mindful about things, and we start to change the way we use these devices, can we actually start to improve our energy flow again?
Yes, of course. First of all, let's look at what the effect of being closed down is. Now, it will take some time for us physiologically to break down as a result of that. First thing that would break down will be that the nerve system would break down, because that's the most electrical part of us. I
didn't know that. So the nervous system is very much related to these electrical currents.
Yes.
Okay.
So that will be the most...
When people get nervous and they shake.
Well, the brain is part of our nerve system.
Yes.
So the brain functioning will be affected. But before we see a physiological breakdown, which we're starting to see with ADHD and all this insomnia and increase in panic attacks and nervousness, as you talk about, and people's sleeping patterns, natural biorhythms being disrupted. We are starting to see that now more and more. But the subtle aspect, which happens immediately that we're shut down, is that our exchange with what it is that we're experiencing around us at a subtle level is suddenly cut off. So this dialogue that we're having as two human beings with each other is not just what I'm saying to you and your brain analysing it. There's an exchange of energy as two beings.
It's two
and that,
two fields meet.
And that exchange, which creates the feeling of empathy and the feeling of compassion, all of subtle aspects of our experience, all filter through this subtle energy field. Otherwise, without it, we have just a cerebral version of our experience, which is very two-dimensional. So that's what we lose once our subtle energy field is closed down, even before physiologically we start to develop. And these are the most enriching parts of what it is to be human, and we are getting used to being without them, sadly, which is why everybody's looking harder and harder in all kinds of directions for something that satisfies.
It's interesting, Burgs, because the whole mission quest, if you like, of conscious TV is to very much look at how we can get more in touch with who we really are.
Who we really are, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
And obviously this course this week is a meditation course. We've done a lot of meditation, we've done some Qigong, we've been out in nature, a very beautiful part of England. And obviously we also have a very good teaching, but when it comes down to it, it's when we're away from here, we've got to have this mindfulness, this awareness to always take with us, because that is the way we maintain what we're learning here.
Well, there's no doubt, and actually you mentioned mindfulness. We have to behave mindfully, we have to behave intelligently and care for ourselves energetically, the same way that we care for ourselves nutritionally. We have to take care of this subtle part of us, because it's very important. And once we start to let that slip and forget, we sort of dry up in some way. But the other part of mindfulness, which is very, very interesting, is that although these energy fields are disruptive for everybody, we are exposed to them. We're going to have to live through with them. But what I've seen more and more consistently is that when people are ill and the integrity of their own energies and their own body's intelligence is already starting to break down, these have a devastating effect. And the capacity of the body to recorrect when removed from it is hugely impaired. A healthy human being, I'm not suggesting that long term it's not going to have an effect, but a healthy human being does, the heating up of that we feel in the brain, when we take the phone away, over the course of the night, it does cool down. And that very strong shaking that happens while we're on the phone, it does gradually dissipate.
There's a certain robustness.
There's a robustness which that's the inherent mindfulness within the body. And when we lose that...
So you talked about an inherent mindfulness.
Yes.
That's it. So the body has this, obviously...
Has its own awareness, energy, yes. And it has its own intelligence. And obviously sickness is an indication of a breakdown in the body's own intelligence. And once we are already unwell, and this is the thing I really think is so important, if you have people in your life who are unwell, or you are unwell, it's really important you do everything you can to remove yourself from these things, because your body goes into what we call a coping state when your subtle energy system is shut down, and the healing response will not trigger for you the way it should until you're free from these. Now, the first place then we need to make sure that we don't have this wireless technology is in hospitals, and the second place is in schools where children are still growing and developing. So, if you are unwell and you're looking to recover, really, really important that you remove this for the period of time of your convalescence. That's really important.
Good. Well, that's some great advice there, Burgs. Thanks very much. And it is that the way I'm left with it is it's very much that we have to look at all areas of our life. And when we're unwell, of course we do, or most people do, look at their diet, they rest more. But if they're resting at home and the Wi-Fi is
Might
on,
not think about it.
That's right.
Might be sitting there with a computer on, watching movies, streaming off the internet, and that body.
They're relaxing and they're doing their body.
Exactly,
good.
and our energy system can't reorganize itself. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, Burgs.
All right. Thanks, Ian.
And thank you for watching. So we just finished the last program, and Burgs showed me another little trick, if you like, with his rods. It's not really a trick, but the little technique with his rods. And I thought we have to put this at the end of the program as an extra, because it was fun, but also it showed something very important too.
All right.
So let's run through this exercise again.
Okay. So, yes, Ian was asking me, gosh, if we're exposed to all of this electromagnetic, all these disruptive energy fields, what can we do to protect ourselves? Should we get one of these devices that shut us down? And I said, use mindfulness. The way you pay attention governs what's happening in your energy field. So the first thing I said to Ian was, imagine you're on a tube at night full of drunk people and you want nobody to notice you, i.e. you shrink yourself down and bring all your attention into your body as if you wanted to be completely unnoticed. So you try doing that.
Okay.
So all your mind...
Head down.
Yeah, well, just relax, but keep all your attention within you, all right? Just so I can read your throat chakra again. Now, you see what's happened. The rods have opened, so he hasn't shut his energy field down, but what he's done is he's withdrawn it. His mindfulness is within him, and his energy field has withdrawn. So if you're sitting at a computer and you're like that, gazing into the screen as you type, of course your energy field's wide open all over the screen and the monitor and everything that it's doing. If you sit within yourself while you type, your energy will be withdrawn, your energy currents will function perfectly, but you're not smothered or smothering these toxic devices. Here's another example. So imagine you're really excited.
So I'm imagining my football team's just scored important winning goals.
Go on then. And he's...
Yes! Great,
Go on then.
fantastic.
And look, I've come into his energy field now. They're wide open at the throat, and his energy field is probably half as big again as it was when we were just having a normal exchange. So if you send your attention out into your environment, your energy field opens up with you. So when you're in nature, walk and look into it, and you'll open up to it.
But
if you walk,
being happy as well, because I felt so happy.
Well,
before
yes.
I felt contracted and very
yes,
reserved and contained.
yes, but you didn't have to be shrunk. You could have just been mindful within you, and your energy field would still have withdrawn. Okay. In the same way, I can look into what's going on around me without necessarily be excited, and my energy field will open to it. The excitement is the flavour of what goes on in your energy field, but your attention energy governs what's actually going on.
Yes.
Yes?
Okay.
All right.
Burgs, that was great.
Okay, thank you.